science teller right here will take it away.
Cool. Thanks. How you guys doing?
All right.
Good. Are you ready to start the show?
Yeah!
Well, we have a few important rules. Rule number 1, there are times in the show to listen. There are times in the show to call out. When I go like this, that's your turn to call out. Otherwise, you need to listen. Rule number 2, please stay in your seats. And rule number 3, please make sure you're staying behind this rug. So, with all of that being said, are you all ready to start the show?
Yeah!
My name is Ken, and I am a science teller. A science teller is part scientist and part story teller. You smush them together, and you get a science teller. That is someone who uses really cool science experiments to tell an awesome story. I need a volunteer. Everybody put your hands down. I'm going to teach you how to try to be picked at every single show you go to from now until age 14. First things first, sit up nice and straight. Make eye contact with the performer so it looks like you're focused. Very good. Smile so it looks like you're having fun. Excellent job. Raise one hand in the air. Separate your fingers for maximum coverage. A little bit further apart, please. Very good. Here's the most important part. Only wiggle your hand. If you wiggle any more than your hand, you're going to look like a loose cannon, or like that lady, and you'll never be picked. And finally, do not scream, me, me, me. Instead, if you want to explode, help me with a science experiment, I need you to hum, hum. Come on up here, sir. What's your name? Dominic, how old are you?
7.
Have you ever been picked to volunteer before?
Yes.
What did you get to do? Do you remember?
No.
All right, well, we're going to do a science experiment. You ready? All right, let's go behind the table. Now, before we do any experiment at home, there's one thing we need. It starts with a parent, an adult, or a grown. Everybody point to a grown-up. That's what they look like. They're the ones who look tired. But sometimes having a grown-up is not good enough, especially if they're tired, and we need safety glasses. So you put on your safety glasses. I'll put on my safety glasses. Awesome. Stand right here. Face the audience. Whatever happens, don't move. Right here we have what's called a mason jar. We're going to fill this mason jar up with water from this pitcher. I have it right here. Just about halfway up. Whoa, that's perfect. Let's put this pitcher right here. Now, if I hold this jar over his head, and if I turn this jar upside down, who thinks he's going to get soaking wet? Raise your hand.
Not me!
Who thinks he's going to stay dry? Whoa! Yeah, you hope. Well, we are going to use this ginormous playing card
Yeah, I know.
and a little bit of science to try to help you out. So, face the audience. Don't move. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. What's all around us that we need to breathe? Air.
Oxygen.
And oxygen, which is part of the air. Air pushes on us from all sides, even though we can't really feel it. And right now, the air pushing up from underneath is stronger than the water that is pushing down. And this little difference in air pressure keeps the card to the jar. But what happens if we take the card away? Will the water stay in or will it fall out? It'll fall out. So here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Wait a second. Inside the lid of this jar is a screen, just like in the screen of your windows at home. Now, water molecules like to hold on really, really, really tightly to each other. And when we turn this jar upside down, they join together over the holes in the screen, and they're keeping the water from falling out onto your hands. But it only works for 15 seconds. No, I'm only kidding. It works until we turn the jar upside down and tilt it at an angle. When we tilt it at an angle, the seal breaks and the water falls right back out. Thanks for your help. Nice job. Top. So today, we are going to be using science experiments like that and more as I tell you a story called The Mystery of the Golden Piano. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Melody and Reed ran through the town, kicking up clouds of dust behind them. But when they reached the train tracks, they stopped. Sitting in the train station was a giant locomotive. Neither of them had ever been on a train before. Come on, let's get a closer look. And they jumped onto the side of the train and they climbed all the way to the top. They stood up and they looked out into the distance. But suddenly, a steam whistle blared. Smoke shot out of the engine stack. The train lurched forward. It began pulling out of the station and chugging along the tracks. Run! Melody and Reed ran across the top of the train, leaping from car to car as the engine picked up speed and as the town disappeared from sight. They climbed down the side of the train car, they jumped through an open window, and they dropped down with a thud into a train car and found a place to hide. As the train barreled through the lonely desert, the sun began to set. And looking through the window, Melody and Reed saw every color of the rainbow dancing in the western sky. Only one thing was certain. It was going to be a long night. I need a volunteer. Come on up here. I need some more volunteers for this one. Let's go. Come on up. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Let's go to this side. Yeah, come on up here. Yeah, come on up here. Awesome. Put your hands down. Awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got a little carried away. That's okay. All right, you 3, you're going to come with me. You're going to stand right here on this side. And you 4 are going to come over here and stand over here on this side. Let's move this table up. And we're going to need safety glasses. I'll hand them out. There you go. Oh. Gravity, it works. This is for you. Yeah, there you go. That's for you. Safety glasses for you. Go ahead and put those on. One for you. The green parrot. Love you there. Very good. Awesome. Now, right over here I have some beakers. In each one of these beakers is something called a color indicator. And how a color indicator works? It tells us whether something is an acid or whether something is a base. Now, all liquids are either an acid or a base. So, let's get our first chemical. You guys stand right over here so everyone can see. Yeah, right back there. Our first chemical is right here. This is called hydrogen chloride. Let's pour some hydrogen chloride into each one of these beakers to see what happens.
This is fun.
Here we go. Just 75 milliliters into each beaker, right up to the line. Is anything changing color? Is it staying clear?
Yeah.
It's staying clear. Now, if something stays clear, we know that this is an acid. So, we're done with this for now, and I'm going to need your help. Come on up. I have this bowl. Take hold of this pitcher with me. We're going to pour this right on into the bowl. Ready? Go ahead. Pour every last drop in there. Very good. So we know that hydrogen chloride is an acid. Now I have another chemical. You can go to the end of the line, please. This other chemical looks the same, but it has a different name. This is called sodium hydroxide. Let's see what happens when we put some sodium hydroxide into each one of these beakers. Let's find out. We're all going to find out together. Whoa! So far, so good. Let's see. So we changed color, so we know that sodium hydroxide is a base. But I have a question for you. What happens if we add an acid now? Will the colors stay the same, or will they disappear?
Disappear.
This is our scientific guess. This is also called our hypothesis. Yes, that's our scientific guess, and we're going to test it out. So to do that, let's move these over here. All right, so you're going to be first right here. You're going to come down right here. You grab hold of this one. You grab hold of that one. When I say so, you're going to dump them into the bowl. You ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and pour it in. Whoa, all the way. Keep going, keep going. Whoa, beakers down. Go to the end of the line. Next down, come on down. You grab hold of the blue. You grab hold of the orange. Here we go. Pour it into the bowl. Let's see what happens. Whoa! The colors are disappearing. Good. Beakers down. End of the line. All right, grab hold of the purple. You grab hold of the red. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Dump them in the bowl. Whoa! So by mixing a color indicator with an acid or a base, we can make the colors disappear or reappear. Awesome job. Safety glasses. Go back on the table. Don't leave without a high five. Bam! Nice job. Awesome. Thanks for your help. Go ahead, find your seats. Nice job. Good. Thanks for your help. Good job. Grab a seat. Meanwhile, Bruno the outlaw checked his pocket watch. It was time. He looked left, he looked right. With nobody watching, he jumped on his horse and he rode out toward the train tracks, just as the train came barreling around the bend. With a mighty kick, kya! He spurred his horse into a full gallop. He rode up alongside the train. He reached his hand out, he grabbed hold of the rail, he leaped from his saddle, and he pulled himself onto the train. And he busted into a train car filled with musical instruments. Right there, sitting in the corner, he spied what he was looking for. It was a piano. Very slowly, Bruno walked over to the piano, his spurs jangling with every step he took, and suddenly, just as he was almost all the way to the piano, he stopped. He heard someone breathing. He wasn't alone. He made a fist, clenched his teeth, and slammed his hand down upon the piano. Bang! Startled, Melody and Reed jumped up from behind the piano, and Bruno grabbed them by the collars. Ain't no runt supposed to be on board, but since you're here, might as well make yourself useful. Find me the key to unlock that there golden piano. Well, Melody snorted. It's a piano! It's filled with keys! 88 keys to be exact. Bruno laughed. She had to be right. He inspected the piano, and 3 of the keys were broken. One at a time, he pressed the broken keys down. The piano lid sprang open, and satchels of money spilled out. He was so surprised, he let go of Melody and Reed. And immediately, they ran over to the train's emergency brake, and they yanked it as hard as they could. The train came to a screeching halt. Bruno was thrown into the wall, and the piano slid across the floor and pinned him against the wall of the train. Jump! Reed grabbed Melody by the hand, and together they leaped from the train as the sound of Bruno's terrible fireworks echoed through the night. I need a volunteer. Oh. Yeah, come on up here.
I've never done this before.
Oh, yes, awesome. Me neither. Come on up. Good. I need a volunteer. Yeah, come on. You're going to love this one. What's your name? How old are you, Alina? 7. Have you ever seen fireworks before? Awesome. What's your name?
Louise.
How old are you?
7.
Have you ever seen or heard fireworks?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we are going to do an experiment to make the sound they heard as they were running away from the train. So let's get some safety glasses on. I'll hand them out to you. There you go. There you go. Now, here for me. We're going to move the table out just a little bit. You, over here, please. Right next to you. All the way. Very good. So I have my oldest piece of equipment.
Where am I going? Where am I?
You're right there. That's where you need to be.
With her?
Yeah, right there. We have a film canister. We also have 2 chemicals. You may have heard of them. We have vinegar and we have baking soda. Everybody go like this. Take your hand, take a deep breath, and do that again. Good. Wipe off the germs. We breathe out a gas. That gas is called CO2 or carbon dioxide. When we mix vinegar with baking soda, we're going to get a chemical reaction. It's going to make carbon dioxide. Which takes up more space, a solid or a gas? A gas likes to take up as much space as it can. we are going to put the carbon dioxide in the film canister, put the lid on top. The gas is going to try to expand and take up as much space as it can. When there's no more space inside this film canister, the gas is going to force its way out, and the film canister will shoot up toward the ceiling. Ready? Here we go. We're going to move this one right here. All right, you're going to be first. So, take hold of this. Put your hands, and you're going to squeeze up into the film canister. Whoa! Keep going, keep going. Good, good. That's perfect. That's just enough. Good. This goes over here. All right. You're going to take a step back, please. Take a step back. Right over here so everyone can see. Right there. Good. Here we go. Let's get some baking soda. Here we go. Let's clean off that lid a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this. Here we go.
It's gonna fall.
If we change the amounts of baking soda and vinegar, do you think that'll change when the film canister explodes?
Yes!
We are going to test out this hypothesis with not one, not 5, but 13 film canisters all at the same time. Good. Keep going, keep going. Pour like you've never poured. That's good, that's perfect.
Something's gonna explode.
Oh, we'll see. Here we go, let's get this guy out. I have my magnetic tray.
No!
Ladies and gentlemen, 13 film canisters. Here we go. Just remember, please, whatever happens, stay in your seats. Here we go. Whoa! That was so cool. That was cool. Melody and Reed ran away from the train as fast as they could. They raced through the desert, jumping fences and dodging cacti. They never turned to look back. They were too afraid to see Bruno hot on their tail. All at once, a thick, heavy fog rolled in from the mountains, making it impossible for them to see. It forced them to slow down and look around. Let's face it, we are lost. And with that, crack! The ground opened up. They screamed. They felt themselves falling through the fog and down into the earth. They hit the ground hard. And as they got up and they brushed themselves off, they looked around. And and they finally realized where they were. We must have fallen into the abandoned mine shaft. At that moment, a dark cloud swept across the sky. It covered up the moon. The light inside the mine completely vanished, swallowing them up in darkness. Meanwhile, above ground, Bruno the outlaw finally pried himself free. Now that he had found the golden piano, it was time to make his great escape. He tied up the train conductor, he dumped him by the side of the tracks, and under the cover of night, Bruno the outlaw started up the locomotive, and the engine chugged along the tracks and disappeared into the fog. I need a volunteer. Come on up here. I need another volunteer who's feeling really strong. Feeling strong? Come on up here. All right, put your hands down. What's your name? You're excited, I can tell. And what's your name? Gabriella. How old are you, Gabriella?
7.
Excellent, good. When you guys go outside and look up at the sky, what do you see?
Clouds.
Clouds. We are going to do an experiment to show what it looked like when the clouds covered the moon and the fog rolled in. So let's go back behind the table. Let's get our safety glasses. Go ahead and put those on. This is good. This is the hair that keeps dropping. Right here we have a soda bottle. What's inside? Nothing but air. Air is made up of tiny particles. Those particles are too small for us to see, and some of those particles are little tiny drops of water called water vapor. When water vapor in the air cools down, a cloud forms. We are going to make a cloud inside this bottle. So just like on our planet Earth, we start with a liquid. The liquid starts to evaporate. That means it changes from a liquid into a gas. Exactly. And the sun starts to heat up the earth. And it makes warm air. Where does warm air like to go? It likes to go up. And when the water vapor in the air goes up, it starts to cool down. It condenses. That means it turns from a gas back into a liquid, and a cloud forms in the sky. Well, we are not going to use the sun to heat up the air inside our bottle. Instead, we're going to use something cooler. We're going to use a bike pump. Can you please stand right over here? Let's hook up this bike pump right here. Get a little bit of water on there. Good. This is going to go over here. Get that in. Oh, that's good. Here we go. You're going to get 2 hands up here. And you go 5 pumps. All your fingers on top. All your fingers, even your thumbs. Keep your thumbs on top. There we go. 5 all the way up, all the way down. Number 2. Here we go. 3 more. 3, 4, and 1 more. 5. Awesome. Switch places. Go on down. Let's go 5. Get all your fingers on top. Here we go. 5 good pumps. I'll help you if you need. 1, 2, 3. 2 more. 4. Oh, you got it. 1 more. And awesome. Good. Take a step back. Now I'm going to add a couple more pumps to get this up to a higher pressure. When we increase the pressure, we also increase the temperature. When I remove the valve, the pressure goes down. That means the temperature also goes down. When the temperature goes down, a cloud will form right inside our bottle. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
That's cool. Those are quick. Soapy water.
Wait a second. We want to try this again, but we already have a cloud inside the bottle. If we increase the pressure and the temperature now, will the cloud get bigger or will it get smaller? What do you think? Smaller? We are going to test out our hypothesis. Let's hook it up one more time. It works really well when it's like that.
You're scared.
All right, you ready? So let's have you go first this time. Ready? 5 pumps. All right, we're going to pump it up again. Watch the cloud. Let's see what happens to our cloud. All right, 1 more. Good, switch places. Here we go. 5 more pumps. Is it getting bigger or smaller? Smaller. It's even disappearing. That means it's turning from a liquid into a gas. Exactly. Need some help or you got it. Let's get 3 more. All right, ready? Here we go. 1 and last one. All right, I'm gonna give a couple more pumps. Let's do this one more time. We're gonna take the valve off. We're gonna decrease the temperature, and a cloud will form. Can you take a step back so they can see? This way. Yeah, right there. Good. That way everyone can see. Here we go. A cloud in the bottle. One more time. 3, 2, and. Oh, that's incredible. Would you like to feel it? You want to feel? Hold your hand out like that. Ready?
Oh my god.
Whoa! What does it feel like? Like air. It's a cloud. Yeah. Glasses on the table. High five. You guys. Big help. Thank you very much. Great job. Go find your face.
Howard.
Deep down at the bottom of the abandoned mine, Melody and Reed tried to claw their way back out, but the walls were just too steep. They were trapped. With only one way left to go, they followed the underground path deeper into the earth, and unable to see where they were going because it was so dark, they had to use their hands against the cold, damp wall. They felt their way through the twists and turns of the labyrinth, and they felt something on the wall. Their screams echoed through the mine long after they realized what they had found. It was a torch. They fumbled through their pockets for a match. They lit the torch, and instantly the mine lit up. And finally, at last, Melody and Reed could see. They were relieved until they heard a voice cut through the still, stale air. Whoa! They froze. It called out to them again. It was coming from deep within the mine, and with whatever courage they had left, they followed the voice through the labyrinth. They rounded the corner. They lifted the torch high above their heads so they could see what had called out to them. And when they looked down, they couldn't believe their eyes. Lying on the ground, with his hands tied up and his mouth gagged with rope, it was the sheriff. I need a volunteer. Come on up here, let's go. I need a volunteer. All right, here we go. We're going to represent. What are your names? Anya? Julie. Anya and Julie. Here we go. Let's get some safety glasses on. Oh, well, you got glasses on. You came prepared. Let me put these on. There we go. Excellent. So, have you guys ever done a science experiment before?
Yeah.
Today's your lucky day. We're going to do an experiment. Are you ready? We're going to do an experiment to show everybody what it looked like when they lit the torch. Right here I have a water bottle, a water jug. We also have a chemical. This chemical is called ethanol. So, let's pour some ethanol in here. Let's use 5. Take all this. I'll hold this for you. Pour it right on there. All the way. Now, ethanol is flammable. When something's flammable, we can light it on fire. We're going to light this gas on fire. It's going to make hot air. Hot air has a lot of energy. It's going to try to expand. But the only way out is through this narrow opening at the top. So as all of that hot air tries to escape the small opening at the same time, it's going to generate sound waves. And if we are absolutely quiet, we will be able to hear all of the hot air make a whoosh sound. So here we go. Let's bring this over here. Shake it out a little bit.
I'm terrified.
It goes there.
I'm glad I'm sitting there. Are we okay?
Oh, yeah.
You just
Here we go.
stay seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it looked like when they lit the torch. Here we go. Awesome.
Oh.
Wait a second. I have another water jug. Right over here. This water jug is 5 times bigger. Will the sound be softer or louder? Louder. Let's test it out. Let's see. Let's get some ethanol. All right, ready? Come on down. This time we're going to use more.
I'm not gonna put my hands down. I'm gonna stop it. I'm there now.
Alright, just like before, we're going to swirl it around and give it a little bit of time to evaporate. Then we're going to make hot air and see if it's louder or softer. Here we go. Let's do it one more time. As quickly as they could, Melody and Reed untied the sheriff as he explained what had happened. Bruno trapped me in the mine so he could rob the train. We've got to stop him before it's too late. And the sheriff hopped into a minecart, followed by Melody and Reed. And the minecart zipped along the track, winding its way faster and faster through the underground maze. Look out! They never saw the sudden curve, so it was way too late. They reached for the brake, they pulled, the cart screeched, sparks flew from the wheels, but the minecart could not slow down in time. It jumped from the track, flew through the air, and crashed into the rocks. And as they lay in a heap on the ground, they heard a low, rumbling sound. And the mine started to shake, and rocks crumbled down from the ceiling. A train whistle blared overhead. It could mean only one thing. Bruno, he's getting away! And at that moment, Melody and Reed spied something in the corner. It was an old crate, and it was filled with sticks of dynamite. They grabbed the biggest stick of dynamite they could find, and using the torch, the sheriff lit it, and he tossed the stick of dynamite as far down the tunnel as he could, and everybody dove for cover. Boom! The entire mine exploded. I need a volunteer! Now you come out of the table. Alright, let's go. Aiden and awesome. How old are you guys? 8? 7? Awesome. Have you done a science experiment before? Yeah. You have? What have you done? Here, go ahead and put those on. Alright, well, we're going to do an experiment right now. Are you excited? It's my favorite experiment. We are going to do an experiment to show what it was like when they lit the dynamite. And to do that, I have some polyvinyl chloride, also called PVC. It's right here. We're going to use this PVC tube to launch a ball into the air. So here's our ball. Go ahead and grab hold of that. Alright, squeeze it as tight as you can.
You're just scared.
Yeah, keep pushing. It'll go.
It's gonna be loud when it goes out. I just don't want my ears.
Good, that's perfect. I'm going to unscrew this cap. Now right here I have a chemical that you have in your homes, most likely. This is called isopropyl alcohol, or rubbing alcohol. We're going to put 4 pumps into the other end of the tube. Now isopropyl alcohol is flammable, so once again, we're going to light it on fire. We're going to make hot air. The hot air is going to expand. It's going to increase the pressure. Pressure is the force that a gas pushes on the container. When there's too much pressure, it will transfer its energy to the ball. It will push the ball out into the air toward Mr. Piccirillo. Here we go. Let's get our safety lighter. This is what it was like when they lit the torch. Here we go. Perfect. That's good. Thanks. Here we go. Watch this. Whoa! Wow, that was loud. Thank you. Wait a second. Wait a second. This entire show we've been doing an experiment again and changing something. And we've been comparing the results to see if they are the same or if they are different. Sometimes we don't want to change anything. Sometimes we want to do the exact same thing to see if we get the exact same result. And then we know the experiment actually works. So, do you guys want to see this one more time? Good? Right on in there? Good. A little bit further. Oh, not too far. Perfect. All right, good. Let's get an isopropyl alcohol. And just like before, we have to do it the same way. So we need 4 puffs. And this goes over here. Let's cap it up. Oops. Screw this on, nice and tight. Mr. Pickrilla, do you have your shield?
Yes.
Here we go. One more time. Watch this. Let's get a countdown from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The blast from the dynamite ripped open the earth, and light streamed into the mine from above. Melody, Reed, and the sheriff scrambled up the rocks toward the surface, but the sheriff couldn't fit through the small opening at top. And as they tried to pull the sheriff out of the rubble, they heard a train whistle blow in the distance. Bruno's heading straight for the junction. Stop him! Melody and Reed knew exactly what they had to do. They left the sheriff, and they ran toward the junction, and together, with all of their might, they pulled the track switch. Yeah. Now the train tracks were set to curve toward an unfinished section of the railroad that was still being built over a great ravine. Watch out! Melody and Reed jumped to the side just as the train thundered past. Bruno blasted the horn. He shook his fist at them and he laughed. But he didn't laugh for long. He turned around just in time to see the train tracks disappear beneath him. And with nothing underneath it, the train began to plummet straight down into the ravine. Crash! At the bottom of the ravine, Bruno the Outlaw emerged from the burning locomotive. He started to make his getaway on foot, but he saw something sticking out of the wreckage. It was the golden piano. He ran over to it.
Howard, stay there. Sit down.
He ran over to it. The money was still inside. As quickly as he could and laughing, he stuffed as much of the gold into his pockets as he could, and as Bruno reached for the last bag of money, hold up! Hands in the air. It was the sheriff. With his 2 new deputies, they pried the gold out of Bruno's hands as the sheriff slapped him with handcuffs. And before daybreak, Bruno the Outlaw was back behind bars, where he belonged. Are you guys ready for the grand finale? I need a volunteer! Wait, put your hands down. I need an adult volunteer. All right, we are going to do an experiment to make an egg fall from the sky, just like the train that fell from the sky into the ravine. Here we go. We're going to set this up right here. Watch me get my safety glasses. Now we need a tray on top of our cup, a toilet paper tube, and now the last ingredient, the most dangerous ingredient ever used in Science Teller's history. It is a raw egg. Mr. Rosenberg. Yeah, you choose an egg. Any egg. Alright, here we go. Go ahead and put that egg right on top of the tube. So it's on its side. Yeah, that's perfect. Good. Now this is what's going to happen. Sir Isaac Newton had the first law of motion say an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest. We are going to send this tray in motion. It's going to go flying over there. The toilet paper tube is going to go flying over there. But the egg, which is at rest, will stay at rest. For a split second, it will hover in the air until a force pulls it down into the cup. What force pulls things down to the ground?
Gravity.
Gravity. So, how are you feeling about this? Want to go practice now? Practice? Or you want to just go for it? Alright, let's do a practice. Here we go. So let's remove the egg. We'll put this over here for now. Alright, so here's the trick, Mr. Rosenberg. Keep your hand flat like this, right there. You're going to bring it back, and you got to hit the tray with a lot of conviction. You really want it to go flying over here. Okay. Whatever you do, don't hit the cup.
Don't hit the cup.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to make
You
sure.
got this.
So I might hit Mr. Piccarello.
Well, that's okay.
This?
Did I hit perfect? No, that was absolutely what we have to do.
Okay.
Now we're going to increase the stakes. That was great. So we don't need these anymore. That was the best one today. Let's fill this up with water. Here we go. This is why it's important. Oh, you did great. All right, this goes on top. And we need our egg.
Mr. Rosenberg needs concentration. Silencio.
Would you like a countdown or you want to do it on your own?
I know it's an experiment.
All right, here we go. Let's go. We're going to do a countdown from 3. Hit that tray nice and hard. Are you ready? Hands on the ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Wait a second. That was really cool, but was it dangerous enough?
No.
Should we double the danger?
Yeah.
Should we triple the danger?
That's gotta be tricky.
The second egg. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take just a few seconds to try to get these low.
Oh, that is dangerous.
Oh no! We're on toilet paper patrol. Alright, while Mr. Piccarello's cleaning that up, we're going to set this up.
The carcass.
No one sits on
Mr. Wilkins,
Everybody
our
sit
custodian
down.
extraordinaire. He is a master
I got the
repeater.
best.
Sit down.
No, I'm
That's right.
Sit down.
All right.
Sit down.
All right. Let me get out of these real toilet paper.
Sit down.
All right.
That was exciting.
You guys wanted danger. You wanted danger, guys.
I don't want danger.
All right. I've never tried this with 3 eggs, obviously, but this worked perfectly when I saw it on YouTube this morning. 3 eggs, 3 cups of water. If this doesn't work, that's gonna be really, really disgusting. If it does work, it's gonna be the most incredible thing I've seen all day. Our grand finale. Let's get a countdown all together from 10. Here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
I have a question for you. Did you have fun today? Thank you very much. I need everyone.
Outcomes that need to be moved immediately. And
Cars.
preparation for
Cars.
dismissal.
Cars.
Or sound pumps that need to be moved immediately. Thank you.
All right, let's have everybody listen and look to your teachers. They will tell you what to do next.
Don't move.
Stay away from the end.
Don't sit on the seat.
All right.
All right, Paul Tini's first. Rosenberg, Stacy.